Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, everybody, welcome back. And I am joined by an amazing guest. You guys know the owner at P. Thomas Smith Counseling. It is the one and only Mr. Tom Smith. Tom.
Casey, what's up, man?
Great to see you,
man. Brother.
Great to see
Yes.
you. You've been knocking them out of the park with your shows. Today is going to be a part two because you were talking about.
Yeah.
Why don't you just bring us back in from last week's show to where we're going now? Because you've been hitting it out of the park, like I said. So you got the floor here, my friend.
Well, the last show I wanted to start talking about, this is more geared toward teens and teens parents that possibly want to go to college. It's a really big deal for parents to get the right information. And so again, thanks for letting me set this back up, because last week I was telling on YouTube, I have my own YouTube channel, P. Thomas Smith Counseling, but if you go into the search bar and you search Tom Smith paying for college, it's a DVD series that I did about 15 years ago that's still pertinent today. And any and everyone watching this, if you have a high schooler, you have to go watch this. This is everything that you need to know, and it's free. You can watch it over and over. If you need answer any questions, P. Thomas Smith Counseling at gmail.com will find me. So it's really important for parents to know that there's help out there for them, and that the kids need to invest some time into researching these schools and not just go to the U or state because everyone else is. Right. So I wanted to try to get them up to to that point to understand what education is all about. But today is the second to the last show that I'm going to have. And I really want to be able to spend time with the parents of teenagers, but more importantly, teenagers, because I started in 91 in a classroom in Charlottesville, Virginia. I moved out to Seattle, and I went from a classroom of around, typical 15, 16, 17 kids to doing keynotes and auditoriums. And that was really a great experience for me. So I have spoken to tens of thousands of kids, and here it is so many years later. And I'm going to talk about the same thing that I talked about all the way back in 91 and the early 90s, because kids, as human beings, we evolve, but we don't really change. We're still human beings. We still have thoughts, emotions, dreams, and things like that. What's different is, Casey, is that back in those days, we never talked about depression. We never talked about suicide. We never talked about drug and alcohol abuse, because it really wasn't a big thing, But now it's the society that we live in today. So for every parent that's watching this, regardless of how old your child is, I want to go back to when they're very young. So there's a bit of psychology behind what I want to talk about, but I also want to give this information out because out of the tens of thousands of kids that I've talked to, I have no idea what's happened to them, other than I've received a ton of letters from them. They would be writing me letters while I would be talking, and after they would come up and give me the letters. And so I got a lot of great positive feedback from students, and the teachers were like, "Oh my God, you have such a gift," blah, blah. And it was really cool. So I don't know how many people are going to be able to watch this out of all of my shows. If I'm going to promote this one the most, because this is going to pertain to everyone. So with that set up, Casey, I want to start with talking to parents who are you're starting to raise your child. I mean, the toddlers is one thing, but once they start moving into middle school, that's where things start to blow up. And then when they get into high school, you kind of lose your teens, because somebody's got a driver's license and they're going to be gone as much as they can. Okay. So personal story, when I was growing up, my mother was my absolute best friend in the world. I was the youngest of four. She spent a lot of time with me because I was her youngest, and the oldest two had already kind of taken off because they were 10 and 8 years older than I was. Okay. And so when I was 9 years old, I started playing football, and I was a real mouthy kid, really cocky, because I was good. And I remember trashing one kid after the game, and she got in the car and she said, "Son, don't you ever, ever, ever let me hear you talk like that to anyone again." She goes, "You're no better than anybody else, and nobody's better than you. Do you understand? You have a great gift. You need to use it for God. And if you don't, it can be taken from you." That was a tough conversation to have at 9 years of age, but it changed my life forever. When I would get finished with football practice, Little League football practice, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, I would come home and I would eat dinner. My mom would be in the bed reading. My father was always gone. He was a trucker. And I would sit and talk to her night after night. On the weekends, I'd sit and we'd watch football. and I would talk to her. And that communication led up to when I was a high school kid, and I was still, my mother was still my best friend, and I told her pretty much everything that wouldn't maybe hurt her feelings, like, you know, I'm staying with, I'm staying with my buddies, but I'm at a sleepover
Yeah,
at a girl's
okay.
house.
Yeah. I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? So just, I didn't want to tell her things that would really upset her.
Uh-huh.
But that relationship is what's missing in today's society, because we live in this crazy ass world that the kids are so bombarded. They have no idea who they are, what purpose they have. So what I really want to talk to the parents about is, when your children are young. My mom started when I was probably a little out of a toddler's age. She would come sit on the edge of my bed, and we would say our prayers, and then we would talk. And then as I got into being, 9, 10, 11 years old, I would move to her bedroom and we would talk there. And then I was a teenager, we would talk on the weekends. Parents would give anything for their children, to give them any time whatsoever. But parents, you have to start at a young age, and you have to be able to listen to everything that they're saying. And here's an example. My two sons are 22 months apart. My oldest son, I would give him a bath. And so he's a little older than a toddler, and I would run his bath and I'd put him in there, and he'd always go, "Daddy, talk, talk." And I'm like, "Okay, we'll talk, talk." So I'd sit on the toilet and we would talk, and my youngest one would be waiting for the next bath. That that led into two of the most amazing men I've ever experienced in my life. And it started, Casey, as a toddler in the bathtub, talking. You
Mhm.
see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They have told me everything about their life. So parents, you have to start the dialogue at a young age. You have to listen to what they're saying, regardless of how boring or unexciting it is. But you're hardwiring the brain for them to be able to communicate with you. Don't fix it. Don't tell them, don't try to manipulate it. Just listen to them. And then when they get older and tell you they got an MIP for drinking in the parking lot in the high school, then you can flip out. But up until then, be really cool with them. So what's happened to most of the kids today in our society leading up to the kids is that depression is about 20% of the teenagers have depression. Now, what this looks like, and this is going based off of my four sons that two of them were mine that I raised, and the other two were bonus, phenomenal guys. So I grew up in a household of testosterone.
Okay. I got you.
The dinners around the table was, grading the girls' butts, who had the finest butt. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the guys' world, right? And I would just sit and laugh. My wife was like, "Oh my
Oh
gosh."
no.
Well, that also led into Dad. I went to a party last night. You wouldn't believe who I talked to. The most popular, the richest, most famous kids. My oldest son is me. I mean, here he is in high school, sophomore, junior, senior, talking to the girls in the corner at parties because they're devastated because this guy did this to her. And he would talk to his really close friends behind closed doors, and he says, "Dad, they're all depressed. They're all a hot mess." And
Wow.
so all the way through high school, we would have these conversations, and that's where it's at today. So high schoolers, I want to talk to you for a second, specifically to high schoolers. Um, and this is pretty much the conversation I've had with all of them. Within the power of the tongue, there's life and death. It's scriptural. So what that means is, you will either speak words of life, or you will speak words of death. Words of death is when you're putting other people down, when you're hard on people, when you're belligerent, when you're disrespectful. But unfortunately, what happens is that affects your life. Those words impact your life in the exact same way. So if you're a butthole to everybody, nobody, first off, is going to like you. But what happens is, we are so categorized in high school. What do you wear? What do you listen to? How much money do you have? What do you drive? Where are your parents? Blah 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 blah. And so my sons went to a high school they called Hot Tub High. I mean, what does that tell you in Billings, Montana? Yeah, because that's where supposedly all the rich kids went.
Oh, okay.
And they're driving cars, man. They're driving Rubicons. They're driving, $50,000, $60,000 cars. And my son was driving a beater. And he's like, "I don't give a shit. I get to the same place they get to." They didn't care because So my point being, what causes depression and anxiety so much in kids? So I want to break this down for all the high schoolers. Listen, I raised my sons to march to the beat of their own drum. When they were toddlers or young kids and they were getting out of the car, I got to take them to school probably for the first 3-4 years of their life. Before they'd get out of the car, I'd be like, "Hey, and I would tell them, hey, they would stop every morning. You respect your teacher. You take care of the kids that are being bullied. Don't let anybody hurt them. And you make sure that the kids that don't have any friends, that you are their friends. You got that? And they're like, okay. Well, come to find out, and going through all through elementary school, I would hear it from the teachers. They're the sweetest guys. They help everybody. They help me. So parents, this has to be formulated in kindergarten, first, second, third grade, if you have any hope, because by the time they get to be a high schooler, man, they don't have time for you.
Right.
I mean, that's just reality. And so the kids, this is what I want you to understand. Here's the analogy, and I'll break it down from the very beginning. A lot of you wake up in the mornings and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, God, I hate you. You just, you don't make great grades. You don't really fit in. You're not real popular. I hate you. And there's those other kids that wake up and like, mwah, man, I miss you. You all that, boy. Yeah. Yeah. But that doesn't mean anything except they're trying to make themselves possibly feel better. Here's the secret to life. It doesn't matter what people think or say about you, high schoolers, because 24 hours after you walk across the stage and you get your diploma, that whole world is gone forever. It doesn't matter how cool you were. It doesn't matter how smart you were. None of that really matters, because those people that were your classmates are going to be referred to for the rest of your life. I went to school with that person. And 12 months after you graduate, all those, I almost said bros and hoes because that's what the guys, call them. Sorry. They're gone, man. They're gone. And in 24 months after that, all those cliques that it was so important to be a part of, it's all gone. Your 4 years are going to go by so fast. When you wake up in the morning, let me explain what greatness is to you, teenagers. Greatness is not what you drive. It's not what you own, how much money you have or you don't have. Greatness is, what impact do you have on somebody's life that day? What causes depression is the stress and the pressure of having to make great grades. The stress and depression comes from trying to fit in, trying to be like everybody else, try to be a part of the crowd, which in actuality, it's really important when you're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. But I want kids to know, listen, I might be an old dude now. I am nothing but an older version of you teenagers. I'm coming back from the future to tell you what's really, truly important. Dude, I was the party captain. I had, everybody was my friends. I was just, whoa, Tommy Smith. But inside, man, I didn't really know who he really was,
Mm.
all through high school. Cause I was Tommy Smith, but I didn't know who that really was. So what I mean by that, Casey, is when I went into the Marine Corps, and they shaved all my hair off and I became a part of 220,000 jarheads. I rolled up on some girls one night in the club, and I rolled my thing out on them, and they just walked off. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You don't know who I am? And my reality at 18 years old, from the time I graduated high school in June until the spring of the next year, my life had completely changed, and I've never been Tommy Smith ever again. I've become a Marine, an adult, a man. And so kids, listen, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself it's going to be a good day regardless. It doesn't matter what other people think or what other people say. Only thing that matters is you. When you go to bed at night, I know this is going to blow up a lot of people's heads. The only way you're going to get to really know who you are is to turn that stink and put your phone down, turn off all your social media. Listen, start small, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I've taught my sons this, and now they do it today, and they love it. It's almost a meditation, Casey. And it doesn't matter how old the kids are. And you ask yourself, what was good about my day today? What can I change? Who do I want to be? Why do I do what I do? Ask yourself the questions that's going to actually impact your life before you jump into the car or the back seat or somebody's party. Think to yourself, how is this going to impact my life in the future? Teenagers never think this. Who would?
Right.
But they're making decisions right now for their spouse and their children. You go out and you do something crazy and you get locked up or an MIP, or you get pregnant, or you get busted for drugs or alcohol because you were just a really happy, fun guy and you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. It will affect you for the rest of your life. So please, for God's sake, man, take that 5 minutes at night. And when you can build it up to 10 minutes, shut everything off and talk to yourself. Here's where the power of life comes in, within the power of the tongue. Speak life. Don't sit there and go, man, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm overweight, I don't really have great clothes, I don't fit really in. That's not the self-talk you're looking for. I'm a good person. At the end of my 3 years, Casey, I had 2 or 3 really close friends. The rest of the time I was alone. At the end of my 3 years, and I got out of the Marine Corps, you know what I found out? I really liked me. I was a good guy. I had a good heart. I made a lot of difference. I didn't have to be Tommy Smith anymore. I could just be me. Do you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying?
Comfortable.
Guys, don't yeah, in my own skin.
Mhm.
Guys, don't worry about what people think or say. They don't mean anything to you. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're your bro. I don't care if they're your girl. I don't listen. It's important to have friends, but more importantly, it's important to have a good relationship with yourself.
Mm.
That only comes through spending time with yourself, having good positive self-talk. Because if you can formulate this type of relationship at a young age. By the time you become an adult, your depression is going to be a lot less. Your anxiety is going to be a lot less. My oldest son, I actually take it from him. I don't care how bad it is. He's always like, whatever. And I'm like, dude, the world's caving in. He's like, whatever, whatever's going to be is going to be. And I got that actually from him. My youngest son, he's like me. We'll flip out and tear the walls down, right? But my oldest son's like, whatever.
Whatever.
And even in high school, he was friends with everybody. Everybody knows and loves him. He was just a super great guy. It doesn't matter how much you have or don't have. My sons grew up like me. They work with a bunch of Latinos now, putting up solar panels, working for a solar company. And the Latinos said, "You're the nicest white people we've ever met. No one's ever treated us so kind." And he said, "They love us because I've raised my kids. You don't look at skin color. You don't look at if they're rich or not. You look at their heart and their character and you be good to
Mhm.
them." And I'm so blessed that they live that life. So high schoolers, what's so important is in becoming a great person is looking out for others. I don't care. There's always somebody that's got more than you, and there's always somebody that's got less than you. You make sure that you take care of the people that you can take care of. If you're really smart, man, help the kids out in the classroom that are struggling. That's greatness. If you're the star of your athletic team, spend time in encouraging that person that hardly ever gets to play. If you want to be great, look at something you can do within the world you live in, and that's your high school classroom, your hallways, your home, your work, your church. Look for someone that you can do something kind for because it releases endorphins in the brain that's going to allow you to fend off depression. Casey, how I got over my depression is I learned a long time ago. I no longer focus on me. We've spent weeks together talking about what I do for veterans.
Yeah.
That's all self-taught and researched. But I don't have time to be depressed because there's too many other people that I need to go help. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. 100%.
It's not always all about you and what you can get. So if you start to feel stressed, anxiety, depressed, look for someone's life that you can impact. That becomes greatness in who you are. And when you leave school, your grade point average is always going to be the same. Your friends are kind of going to be the same. Years down the road, people that you were never friends with in high school, you're going to be close with them because you don't have that preconceived idea of who they are. But look within yourself, speak words of encouragement, speak words of kindness over yourself. And and if it's possible, try to share some of this with your parents. They want more than anything. And parents, now I'm going to talk to you for a second. I know when they're toddlers and you're taking care of them, you want the best for them, but they come to a point when they start hitting preteen and teens, they don't need you to lay out their clothes anymore. They don't need you to fix everything. They don't need you to tell them what to do, how to do it, if you shouldn't do it. They do a lot of things that drive us crazy, but you have to allow them that opportunity to grow up and find their own identity. But if you start at a young age with that simple communication in the evening and continue to develop that, and as they mature, they'll mature and they're going to want to spend time with you because you're not trying to fix everything. You're not trying to tell them what to do. As hard as it is, you can be like, my sons have, if they ever kept anything from me, Casey, they always tell me later on, Dad, I know that you wouldn't have gotten mad, but we don't want to disappoint you.
Right.
Their whole life, they don't want to disappoint Dad because they love and respect me so
Of
much.
course.
And I appreciate that. You can still tell me what you did, and I can still tell you that was a bonehead thing to do.
Yeah.
but they already know it.
But they know
So
it.
parents, so parents, love your kids, encourage your kids, spend time with your kids at a young age. So when they become older, that is a vital part of their life. When they get out of high school, parents, this is our hardest time. I'm living it right now. We still want that bond. We still want that relationship. They've moved on. They're adults, man. They
Yeah.
have their own life, their own friends. I'm sorry they don't call you and tell you everything going on. You have to step back and let them fly right. Because if you raise them correctly in um, that relationship of communication and trust, they'll come back. They'll
Yeah.
come back and visit with you, but you can't control them or force them or intimidate them or bully them or anything like that. And I'm having a lot of issues with that right now with some people. You know, just respect where they're at and trust them. So at the end of the day, I want these kids that are looking at going to college to take the time, go to my video on YouTube and figure that out, parents. That's going to kids don't do it. They don't really care. They think mom and dad's going to stroke a check. Mom and dad's going to stroke, but it ain't no check. You know what I'm saying? They got to pay for this education and they need all the help they can get. So if you get into a situation and you don't really know what to do, parents, as they're moving through high school and to their college years, let me just give you real quickly something that you need to know. Their search for college begins their junior year. Everything happens their junior year, because everything that you submit to colleges can only be submitted for work that's completed. If you're in your first semester of your senior year, they don't really care about that, or the second semester of your junior year. Everything's going to be completed. Your senior year, everything's going to be completed through your junior year. Now, if you were on the borderline of going to school, or because of grades, then yeah, they will track you through your senior year and you're going to have to step up and prove yourself. And I've done that with most of my kids that I've worked with. For whatever reason, their grades weren't that great. I got them focused. I held them accountable. I gave them, outlines, and I can do that with parents as well. So if a parent is out there and your kid's doing really, really well in school, but you have no idea what to do with them, you can always email me at pthomassmith@gmail or pthomassmithcounseling@gmail.com and just ask questions. I don't charge anything to answer questions. If it gets to the point you don't know what to do and you want to hire me, it's $199 for a month. That's it. And I will put together the assessments and I will help you figure these things out. But I just want kids to understand you're special, you're different, you're unique. There's no one like you in the whole world. Quit trying to be like everybody else. Be a great person to the people that are around you. And when you do that, it's going to help you have self-worth, self-confidence, feel good about yourself. That's why I do what I do, Casey.
Yeah.
All this stuff that we've talked about, I serve others because it keeps me healthy. It keeps me happy. It gives me purpose.
I love that message.
Yeah. And I don't have time to sit around and whine. I'm not good with time. I still struggle with depression if too much time lapses, because I was created to serve others. And that's when I'm the happiest and most fulfilled. And so for the kids that are out there, man, God bless you. We need you more than ever. I mean, we need you more than ever. I mean, I get tired of kids getting a bad rap because all you ever see them on the news is beating somebody up, robbing them, or thrashing. There are so many amazing young people out there, Casey, that nobody pays attention to, that we need to, as a society, step in and help walk with them. And that's what I love the most about kids. They're honest, and once they know that you care about them and they trust you. I've had bazillions of amazing talks, and all the kids are my kids. I talk to them just like my kids, and so I have an amazing life because I don't live for me. I have peace because I'm comfortable with who I am.
Yeah.
And I like me, and I'm blessed. And others, you can have anything you want if you know how to speak it. Speak truths, speak edification, speak kindness, speak love to you first, and then give it away. You have to cultivate it within yourself. And as you give it away, you'll grow more and more and more in yourself, until one day you'll be like, wow, I'm at peace with myself and everyone else is depressed, because you're living by the golden rule: do unto others as you have them do unto you.
Yeah. I can
And
see
yeah.
why you're in such demand to do these speaking gigs all over the place. I can see why. I mean, this message right here was a 10 out of 10. Awesome message, man. I really enjoyed it, and I think kids and parents need to hear what you just said. So yeah, you got to put that up on that YouTube, man. You got to get that up.
Yeah, I'll get it up. I'm going to get it up this week and try to get it to go viral.
Awesome. Hey, Tom, tell us how to get a hold of you one more time.
Yeah, P. Thomas Smith. My Facebook page is P. Thomas Smith Counseling LLC, or Gmail, P. Thomas Smith Counseling at gmail.com. It doesn't cost a dime to ask me questions. I just want to, I do this because I want to help people.
Yeah.
And so if I can help one person, then I'm blessed.
That's awesome, Tom. Anything else you want to leave us with?
No, next week is our last show. And I just really want to share my heart, kind of like I did today.
Great. Well, did a great job. Great job today,
thanks.
Tom. All right, guys, the one and only Tom Smith. Great job. And I'm sorry I didn't get the people that wrote in. I will try and do that at another time. But for Tom Smith and for the listeners, we will be right back. Stay right there. Thanks, Tom. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.